for approval. Most voters praised the straightforward discussion of the constitutional revision over the past 2 days. Voters can have no formula.
Vì đại biểu của dân mà vẫn ký vấn đề này thì cái đó càng tốt bấy nhiêu.
It's good to see a thorough discussion by the deputies on constitutional issues. This is the fundamental building national development. Voters wish to have a comprehensive constitution which will facilitate national development.
On Wednesday, deputies will review the implementation of the law on punishing theft as well as the legislative program for next year. President Chen Tan-sang on Tuesday attended a meeting marking 65 years since the People's Police started and implemented Uncle Ho's 6 teachings, and 65 years since President Ho Chi Minh called for a movement of patriotic emulation. The president spoke highly of the achievements of the People's Police in starting and implementing Uncle Ho's 6 teachings. I need to be well-trained, brave, and resilient to maintain a core factor in national defense and the maintaining of self-order, President Chen Tan-sang.
Tiếp tục đẩy mạnh tổ chức các phong trào.
Efforts should continue to promote the movement. The People's Police study and implement Uncle Ho's 6 teachings, along with the movement to study and follow Ho Chi Minh's moral example, and the implementation of resolutions of the 4th plenum of the 11th Party Central Committee. The police should continue to fight moral degradation, corruption, and wastefulness.
At the meeting, 211 collectives and 45 outstanding individuals in the movement were praised and presented with the flags of excellency in emulation by the Ministry of Public Security. The workshop announced a strategic dialogue program to support the implementation of the EU-Vietnam Partnership and Cooperation Agreement took place in Hanoi on Tuesday. The event was organized by the delegation of the European Union to Vietnam and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was financed by the EU with €2.9 million and lasted for 3 years, supporting the implementation of the Vietnam-EU Agreement on Comprehensive Partnership and Cooperation signed last year in Brussels, Belgium. Deputy Prime Minister Bùi Thanh Sơn said that the Vietnam-EU Agreement on Comprehensive Partnership and Cooperation not only fine-tunes bilateral relations between Vietnam and the EU, but also consolidated partnership in regional and international fora to deal with global challenges of climate change, environmental disaster, energy security, and the non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Head of the EU delegation to Vietnam, James Jensen.
The EU will stay as a development partner for the years to come. We are now in the process of thinking about our future programming for the 2014-2020 period, and we will work together to identify key areas for the development of the country.
The Vietnam-EU Strategic Dialogue Program supports Vietnam in research, wherein civil society creates the condition for the two sides to exchange on issues of mutual concern within the framework of the Vietnam-EU Agreement on Comprehensive Partnership and Cooperation. It also finances policy research and organizes senior conferences and training courses with EU and international experts. The Vietnam Bar Association convened a workshop on the law on referendum in Hanoi on Tuesday. Participants discussed the nature, content, and requirements of referendum and Ho Chi Minh's thoughts and views of the Communist Party of Vietnam. They touched upon various forms of democracy and referenda, the role of the National Assembly, and relations between elections, referendum, and public opinion. Vice Chairman and Secretary General of Vietnam Bar Association, Lê Minh Tâm.
Trưng cầu ý dân là một phạm trù có tính lịch sử, xuất hiện và phát triển.
Referendum appears and developed along with democracy. A referendum is a process created by the people who are in charge of state power, implementing the law and conducting social processes. A referendum is a direct form of democracy and a tool by which the people practice their rights. The right to a referendum is a mark of a political, legal, and democratic culture.
The participants agreed that issues of the law or referendum would update the legal framework and work towards an improved democracy.
In our news, the 5+1 groups, including 5 members of the UN Security Council and Iran, should resume talks as soon as possible to seek solutions to Iran's controversial nuclear program. Russia made the proposal in the context of the standstill relating to Iran's nuclear documents. In a statement posted on the website of Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov asked the relevant parties to take specific steps in the spirit of consensus to make further progress. He added that Moscow hoped the upcoming nuclear negotiations would restart as soon as possible. Sergei Ryabkov stressed Moscow's consistent support for Tehran in its nuclear research as long as it was in the interest of civil development. Violence between the police and protesters have reignited in major cities in Turkey as Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan criticized the protesters as extreme elements joining hands with terrorists. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's statement exacerbated the anger of the people. Turkey's NTV station reported that a 22-year-old man died in a hospital on Monday after being shot in anti-government demonstrations in Hatay province in the south of Turkey. This is the second person who has died in the most serious demonstrations in Turkey for decades. Meanwhile, in Istanbul, protesters destroyed cars, threw stones and handmade weapons at the police, who had to use tear gas to dissolve a crowd outside the office of Prime Minister Erdogan. Thousands of people gathered at Taksim Square, calling on Erdogan to resign.
Turn the news, the main points once again. The National Assembly concludes discussions of the constitutional revision. A strategic dialogue program to support EU-Vietnam partnership and cooperation agreement is launched. And Russia calls for restart of negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. That's the news on The Voice of Vietnam.
Community has continued to praise Prime Minister Nguyen Thanh Duc's speech at the recently concluded Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore. Prime Minister Duc not only talked about Vietnam's foreign, defense and security